Hello, welcome to episode 179 of the Datapack tutorial series version 1.2 1.4. We're going to be doing a soul shard powered sword. This was an idea by Bit7 Jupiter, and I thought this sounds pretty cool. I might add it to my Dataland series actually. What do I mean? So we have a sword, and we can slap with it as you normally do, but we can also right click. Oh, I don't have enough spider soul shards. Okay, well let's put down a spider and kill it. Oh, he dropped a soul shard. There we go. We'll have that. And now, if I right click, it will eat up one of my shards and give me a power. Well, the power it gives me is I am creepy like a spider. This is going to be a long tutorial anyway, so you can put whatever you like into the functions. So do whatever you like when you use a soul shard for a spider. But we could also put down a husk. Oh, he didn't drop one that time. Okay. Oh, he dropped one. Okay, and we right click again. Not enough spider soul shards. Oh, it didn't work. That's okay. If we shift and right click, we can switch to husk mode. We've got spider and husk. I only did 2. You can do as many as you like. Now, if we right click, well, we've got a soul shard from a husk. I have the powers of a husk. Whatever those powers might be. I don't know. I can be dusty. Cool. So it's going to be a bit of a long one anyway. So what's happening is we've adjusted the loot tables for the mobs. So they now drop these shards. We also have a function just to give ourselves a shard as well. We could just give ourselves one. There we go. And I could use it. And then depending which mode we're currently set to, spider, husk, you can add more. It will see if there's a soul shard. If there is, it will grant you, well, in this example, it will run a function. And in that function, all I have is a tell raw just saying, I now have, I think it's not even a tell raw, it's just a say that says, I now have the powers of a husk. You can put whatever you like in there. Maybe it's going to give you some attributes. Maybe it's going to give you an effect for a while. That's up to you. I thought we could, if anyone needs help with that, maybe we can make a separate tutorial. Okay, if you're still listening and you're thinking, just get on, there are timestamps, you can skip ahead. So thank you to Bit7 Jupiter for I put a T in that, Jupiter for the idea. And I think, let's get on and make it now. Okay, here we are in VS Code. Let's have a look at the folders and files I've added. And I did say you could use timestamps to avoid the waffle, but here comes a little bit of waffle. If you do like any of my videos, a like and subscribe are very much appreciated. That's it. I don't often say it, and that's all you're getting. Right, let's move on. Okay. So we've added quite a bit, as you can see. Inside the namespace, we have an advancement, use the soul sword. And inside function, we've added a few folders, ability, admin, and soul sword. Abilities, here you can see, well, you can't see because I've cleared out the data pack, but this would be where we say, oh, I've got the powers of a husk, or you would do whatever you wanted to. And inside admin, we've just got giving ourselves the items so we can do testing. And then the controllers are all down here, the soul sword. We have mode cycle, so that's when we're shifting and we're switching between modes. And we have the use soul sword, and that's when we're right-clicking to activate the ability. So we have a predicate to check if we're sneaking, and we use that to check if we're trying to change the mode. And then we're adjusting the loot table of the husk and the spider, because we want them to have a chance to drop the souls. Obviously, we don't want the player to run a function. We want them to find the souls in the world. So, that is what we've got. I would say, let's clean up some of this stuff. Let's do is sneaking and get that done, because we've done that lots of times. Let's pop over to Misode. Let's make a predicate. Check you're in the right version, over in the right-hand corner, in the green button. I want entity properties, this entity, predicate, flags, is sneaking true, copy, we're done. Paste it in there. Okay, I can now use that to check if the player is currently sneaking. Next good place to go, probably load. So let's pop into the load. We need a cooldown, okay. Cooldown, we don't obviously want them to be able to just go spam, 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 spam. And it's also very useful for when they're switching mode. Because if you don't have a cooldown and you try to switch mode, you're probably going to overshoot. So it's like, oh, I want to cycle through. And suddenly you cycle through 5 modes at once. So we're going to add a cooldown and use that. So we'll do scoreboard, objectives, add, and we'll call it cooldown because that's a sensible name. And it will be a dummy. Sword mode. Okay. We'll save that as well. Scoreboard, objectives, add mode. Dummy, this is going to store which mode the sword is currently in. Am I in mode 0, mode 1, mode 2, which will equate to am I in mode husk, mode spider. Oh, and we only have husk and spider, so there is no mode 2. Now we need something to store the amount of shards the player has, because when we activate the mode, or the ability, we need to count the amount of shards. Do they have enough shards to do the ability? So scoreboard, objectives, add, and we could just call it shard count. Dummy. Store mob name data. Now I'm going to use this later. So what we can do is we can have a text. And instead of just saying something like, not enough soul shards, we could say, not enough husk soul shards. And it's a name that we'll be able to reference. So let's do data. And we want to do a modify. And it will be in storage. And I always, for tutorials, I always put my data into ID. That stands for infernal device. Data. So this is the namespace. And I call it infernal device. And I just say it's my data. And I'm going to put it into mob names. And we're going to set a value. That value will be a list. And inside there, I'm going to have 2 entries. First entry will be husk. So husk is 0. It's the first entry in a list. And in lists and arrays, we start counting at 0. Next one will be spider. And I've separated it with a colon. That's just habit. It should be a comma. Now, if I wanted to add more, I would say maybe the powers of a zombie. And now zombie is number 2. The powers of a wither. And wither is number 3. For this example, we are just having 2. Now we need some settings. And I put this separate because these are going to be sort of constants. You could call it constants if you want. I often do in my own data packs, but let's do scoreboard, and I'll show you what we mean. Players, set. Default sword, let's call it soul sword. Soul sword use. Cooldown, and we'll set that to 20. So if I try to use an ability, there is a cooldown of 20 ticks, which is going to be 1 second. Ooh, very parched throat. Let me just have a quick drink. Okay. Now you might want to set that higher. You might not want them to be able to use their ability every 1 second. Maybe you want to set it to 5 seconds, 10 seconds. And actually, let's just copy this. I think we'll do a bit of copy pasting in this one, just to shorten it. And this one we'll call default soul sword mode. And this is just to stop them, when they're shifting, right-clicking to change mode, just to stop them over-clicking. So we're going to keep this kind of small. We're going to put it as 5. And now I'm going to say, how many different modes do we have? Well, we have husk mode and we have spider mode. So we've got 2 modes. Okay. We'll do a scoreboard, players, set, and we'll call this one amount mode 2. We have 2 different modes. So again, like we did a minute ago, if we added zombie mode and wither mode, for each extra one we add, we want this score to go up. Okay, let's save that. That's load done. Let's get rid of those. Now let's do the admin commands, I think. And I'm gonna copy paste these because it's just gonna add, I don't know, 15 minutes of me typing commands. And we've done give a lot of times before. So let's just paste it in and we'll have a look at it. So I'm going to give the executor a Minecraft netherite sword. It will have some custom data and it will be soul steel true. So we can now check if they're holding an item that contains soul steel true. We're going to give it food. We don't want it to actually give them any nutritional saturation, but they can always eat it. And the consume seconds is 1 million. All of this is for right-click detection. Okay, you've probably seen it before, and we've certainly done it a lot of times on this channel. So that's that one. Let's get rid of that. Now let's give ourselves... Did I put that in the right place? I put it in... Look at that. Let's get rid of that. Put it in the sword where it belongs. Save. Let's give ourselves a soul shard. Okay. And I've noticed in my notes, I put an extra space in there. Let me just get rid of that space. The space is gone. Okay. Let me just paste this command in. And let's have a look at what we're doing. I'm giving myself, the executor, a ghast tier. Now I used a ghast tier because I think it looks like a little soul drop. And I thought that's quite cool. But later on I decided to actually add an item model in case you wanted to. So here, we might want to change this to something that can't be used. Because a ghast tier, I believe, can be used in a potion recipe. I have no idea. I don't use potions that often. Well, I do. I use fire resistance all the time. So you might want to change that to a poisonous potato. But we've given it some custom data. Soul Shard 0B. And we are giving a Soul Shard for a husk 0B. If we look back at our load and we check our list of names, husk is first in the list. Counts at 0. So that's 0. That's where the 0 is coming from. We're giving it a custom name. We know about names. We're giving it a custom lore. We know about lore. And here we're giving it an item model. And I'm just going to use the spawn egg. So if you're in later versions, you'll get those new fancy spawn eggs. Or you could point to your own resource pack and make it look like whatever you liked. And then, because I thought, well, let's have a demonstration. Because if we look here, I've got spider egg and husk egg, and they look exactly the same. So I gave it the enchantment glint override. Let's save that. Let's give myself one. Function husk. There we go. I mean, unless you've got ways of getting eggs, I just wanted a way to make it look visually different, so I just gave it an enchantment glint. Okay. And I think the easiest way to do the spider is just to copy the husk. So we'll copy that, we'll paste it into spider, and we'll just have a look through. Soul Shard 0B? No. Let's look at our list in load. Husk is 0, spider is 1. Okay, so let's make sure we change that to a 1. Custom name? Okay, well, you're a spider. Custom lore, small part of a spider soul. Item model, spider spawn egg. There we go. Okay, so we should be able to get both of those now. Let's close all of those down. We could have spent a long time on that. We just made it very quick. Obviously, if you have questions, you go, hey, you rushed over that, I didn't understand it, you just chuck a comment and I will help you. If it's too complicated and you don't get it, jump on the Discord and I'll help you with I'll help you there even better. Because YouTube comments are very hard to help people in. Right. We have a sword. Well, we don't. Wait a minute. Let me do a clear. Oh, I don't want to do a clear because I want to keep those eggs. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's do a function. Let's spell that very badly. Give sword. Okay, we've got the sword. Let's do a data get entity oneself selected item. Okay, we have the important stuff. Can always eat. We've got the food and the consumable, which means we've got the right click. We've got the custom data of soul steel. Okay, now what I also did is I did an enchant on myself and I added sharpness 5. There we go. That's why I was enchanted before, so I can kill things quicker, basically. Right, we've got the sword. Well, let's pop back. Right, now we need to know if we are actually going to use that sword. Let's do advancement. Let's check our right click. We've done this a lot of times before, but let's do it. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Okay. So let's reset this predicate, and we will pop off to advancements in Misode. Spyglass advancement. Oh yes, someone made a suggestion about something else, and I was checking it out. Reset to default. Bye-bye. Okay, criteria. Let's say use soul sword. Trigger. Trigger is going to be, I am using an item. I'm trying to eat it, but it doesn't matter. Conditions will be a player. And I want to check the players. So we went player object there. I want to check their equipment. What do I want to check? I want to check their main hand contains... Well, actually, I don't care if they've got a sword or whatever. All I want to do is check if whatever they're holding has that soul steel. And if it does, we can use it. So let's go straight. Let's ignore the item, ignore the counts, ignore the components. Let's go straight to predicates and custom data. And we will check. Oh, will I get it right? Okay, we will check custom data, soul steel. It should be an object. It should be an object. Yeah, add that. And it should be a Boolean because it's true or false, and we set it to true. Okay. So if we look here on the right-hand side, the criteria is, and we give it our own name, use soul sword. Are they using an item? Well, we've made it so we can eat the item. We're going to check the player. We're going to check their equipment. They're going to check their main hand. Are they holding something in their main hand that has the soul steel true? If they are, we will give them a reward. And we will give them the reward of running a function, which as a placeholder, I am just going to go blah, 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 blah. And we'll save that. And we'll take that back. We'll pop it into our own advancement. Obviously, we need to change that function. And as always, if I use an advancement that calls a function, I call them the same thing. So use soul sword. We are going to call the function use soul sword. Okay. Now, it would make sense to go to use soul sword and at least check that that is working. So off we go, use soul sword. Revoke the advancement. Okay. Advancement. Revoke. The person who got the advancement. Only. Or let's start typing the namespace. ID. Use soul sword. And let's just put, say, used. We won't care about that capital S, even though it's offending me. And let's go back and do a reload. Okay, so we've got that sword. It should be alright. Yeah. Oh, there we go. We've even got that annoying capital S. But we're spamming. Oh, yeah. Spam, spam, spam. Doesn't matter. That's cool. That's expected. As long as we're getting that used thing, we are working. Okay, now we need to exit if we're on a cooldown. So we'll execute if we'll attempt to type words. Sometimes it's hard. My brain says them, and the fingers don't listen. Execute if score, person who got the advancement, their cooldown matches 1 or higher, then we will run return fail. And that was a fail. There we go. So basically it's going to check me because I got the advancement. And do I have a score of 1 or higher in cooldown? If I do, we're just going to stop. We're not going to do any of this. We're just going to stop. On the other hand, if we continue, then set the mode to default if the player has never used before. Right, we haven't set a score for the player. So it's possible because when you make a score, the player's score is null. Let's use an underline to define null. I mean, there is no score. It's not 0, it's not 1, it's not 100, it's not minus 1000. There just is no score. So we want to give them a score. So what we'll do is we'll say execute unless the players... No, we do score first. Score. The player, their mode equals the player's mode. Run scoreboard. Players set that player's mode to 0. Okay. Now this little bit here, execute unless score mode equals at mode. If I had a score of 1, well, 1 equals 1. We would not do anything. If I had minus that, well, minus that equals minus that. We will not do anything. If we have null, no score exists. That was my attempt at typing exists. No score exists. Then this would fail. And it would set my score to 0. So we're setting a score to 0 there. Store the current mode. Okay, so we need to get the mode that the player is currently in. And we're a new player. We'll assume we're a new player, so we're on 0. It doesn't really matter. We're going to execute. Store the result into storage. Almost caught me out there. Into storage, into ID temp. So that's infernal device temporary data. And we'll call it mode. We'll save it as an integer. We'll times it by 1. We will run scoreboard. Oh, done that again. We will run scoreboard. Players get add s mode. Okay, so all we're going to do is we're going to take that 0 or whatever mode they currently are, and we're going to put that into storage. So we can pass that now into a macro. Now, we get to the point here, we need to know, is the player switching their mode or is the player using their ability? So if the player is sneaking, we're going to say they're trying to switch their mode. So we'll do execute. If predicate is sneaking, run, return, run. So they are sneaking. They're trying to switch their mode. We're going to do run, return, which means nothing below will be run. We're going to do this and then exit this function. We won't do any of this. So we're going to run, return, run, and we'll have a function. We'll have the worst spelling of function ever. And we'll run mode cycle. They are trying to change their mode. And we will say with storage ID temp. And that means that this function has access to ID temp. And inside ID temp, we have their current mode. Okay, but maybe they're not sneaking. In which case, let's set a cooldown. We'll do scoreboard, players, operation, add s, cooldown. That did not say add s. What's going wrong with my keyboard? Or my fingers? Probably my fingers, isn't it? Scoreboard players, operation, add s, cooldown equals, now what did we call it? Oh, there we go. Default soul sword, use cooldown. Check for a soul shard. Okay, well, we're going to do that in a separate function. Function use soul sword macro, and again with storage ID temp. So we come in, we revoke the advancement, so we can do it again. If they're on a cooldown, we fail. We leave this. We don't do any of this. If they've never been here before and they don't have a score, we set their score to 0. Then we store their current mode. If they're sneaking, well, they want to change their mode. So we go off to this function. And we pass the current mode. If they're not sneaking, they want to use their ability. So we set the cooldown to what we defined in load. Default soul sword use cooldown, which we defined here. And then we run. Do something with your sword. Okay. Now we've got a cooldown, so I think probably next would make sense to get rid of that cooldown. So if we get rid of some of these, well, can we do a reload? Let's do scoreboard, objectives, set display, sidebar to that cooldown. Okay. If I sneak, nothing. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense if I sneak, nothing. Because we're not setting the cooldown here, are we? We're just sneaking and the cooldown is set afterwards. So that seemed to work. We snuck or we sneaked, depending on which word you prefer. So we didn't get to the set cooldown. Let's not sneak. And now my cooldown is 20. Okay. And it will stay at 20 because that's what it sets it. In fact, it will stay at 20 because now my cooldown is higher than 1, or it's 1 or higher. And we're not even going to run any of this. Okay, so first thing, let's go into the tick and decrement that cooldown. So we'll just do a scoreboard, players, and we'll do a remove for all players who have a score whose cooldown equals, we'll just say 1 or higher. And we'll move 1 from their cooldown. Okay, so if their cooldown score is 1 or higher, then we will remove 1 from that cooldown score. So it will stop when it gets to 0. Okay, let's go back and do a reload, and our score should just go whoop, straight down to 0. Zoom, down to 0. So I can click again. Yeah, that's cool. Great. Let's move on. Bye-bye, tick. That's all we wanted from you. Which is easier? Let's do mode cycle first. So here we go. We're sorting out the cooldown. Let's go to mode cycle. Set the cooldown. Okay, because we didn't set one, did we? We only set it if they used the sword. So this time we will set it to the use mode. Because we don't want that to be really long. Because imagine if you set the use to, you can only use it every minute. You don't want them to take a minute to switch between modes. So that's why we have the two different scores there. We have scoreboard players, and it'll be an operation, and it will be for the player. We will set their cooldown, but this time it will equal the mode cooldown. Save. Okay, so I think we can test that just to see the difference. So if I don't sneak, right click, it goes to 20. If I do sneak, right click, oh, very quick. Very quick. There we go. That's cool. Okay. Increment the mode. Okay, maybe I'm on mode 0, I need to go to 1. Maybe I'm on 1, I need to go to 2. No. We've only got 2. If I get to 2, that would be something here which doesn't actually exist. So we need to cycle back to 0 as well. So if I am on 0, go to 1. If I am on 1, go to 2. But we don't want to hard code that, which is why we have this. Scoreboard player set amount 2. So now what we can do is say, if you're on 1, if you're on 0, well, if you're on 0, you're on 0. Add 1. Now you are on spider. Add 1. Now you're on 2. 2. Oh, you have hit the amount mode. Reset to 0. So let's do that. Increment the mode. Well, that's just adding 1, so we'll do that first. Scoreboard, players, add S, mode, 1. Cycle back to the beginning. Here is where we check. Execute if score at S mode equals amount mode. Execute if score me equals amount mode. Then we should do something. We should go back to the beginning. We should run scoreboard players, and we'll do a set. If we did a reset, we would go back to having a null value. That's not a problem. We accounted for that. But let's do a set anyway. We will set at S mode to 0. So now we're going, oh, if you're here, add 1. Now you're here, add 1. Oh, there's nothing here, back to here. Now we'll store the current mode. And we'll just put it into temp. We will execute. Store the result into storage. And I'll use my ID temp again. Mode, it will be stored as an integer. We will times it by 1. The scale is 1. We will run scoreboard, players, get at S mode. Now we've stored that, we can use that in the next function. So we'll do a function, mode cycle macro, with storage ID temp. Oop, that's it. So this function now has access to storage ID temp, and in storage ID temp there is mode, and inside mode there is, well, our score mode, which we've just adjusted. Okay, let's pop off to mode cycle macro, and let's just do, say, 0. You think, well, that's just going to say 0 every time. And you are right, it is. So we need to turn this into a macro. We don't want to say 0. We want to say the mode we just passed. Mode. And this is using an argument or some data that we passed. So we will say mode. Let's see if we get anything we can test. Reload. So we had to do shift because we're doing the mode cycle, so we need to shift. 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. That seems pretty good. What happens if we go into load function and change this score here? Let's change that to 4. There we go. Just for 4. That's random. I was going for 5, but apparently I hit 4. Let's do a reload. 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. Now we have 4 options because we're including 0. 0, 1, 2, 3. So that's 4. 1, 2, 3. And then we recycle or reset. Cool. Well, I only have 2 options, so I want that to be 2. Let's save that. Ooh. I almost deleted everything, didn't I? Okay. Now, obviously, just saying mode is not going to be useful. Let's say something useful. We do have stored here some data. Let's access that data. So let's do... So we'll use a title. Let's do title at S. We'll stick it onto their action bar. And we will say... Bom, 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 bom. I know that makes no sense. I'll explain in a minute. There we go. I want to look into storage. And I want to look into ID data. I want to look into storage, and I want to look into ID data. What? Well, okay, that's all right. What MBT would you like to look for? I would like to look for mob names. I would like to look for mob names. Oh, it's a list, so I'm going to have to specify. Do I want 0? Do I want 1? I would like to look for mob names 0, please. Okay, let's go back and give that a test. Let's shift. Every time I right click, it says husk. Okay. Well, we don't want just husk, do we? So we don't want to use 0 here. And we are passing with storage ID temp. Storage ID temp has the current mode. Let's put the mode in there. As we do with macros, $, open and close, the normal brackets, we put mode. Now you are using an argument that has been passed. We will say $. Let's go back and let's do a reload. Husk spider, husk spider. Oh yes, husk spider, husk spider. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere slowly. How long have we been going for? I don't know. Okay. So let's close all that down. That is mode cycling done. Now what we need to move on to is using the actual sword. So let's check where we have use soul sword. Yes, that's all set up. We need to do the macro. Okay, and the macro is being passed storage ID temp. What's inside storage ID temp? Again, we've put the mode in there. Okay, so we'll go off to use soul sword macro. And we will sort this out. I'm just going to do a quick cut. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. Hopefully I remember to remove that, or you'd just be sitting there listening to rubbish. Okay, so we just did the mode cycle. This is more for me than you, just to get back to where we were. We are now going to move on to use the soul sword macro. Okay, so we'll save the shard count. And what we're going to do here is we're going to count all the shards in the player's inventory. So we'll execute, store, and like usual, I'm going to type this as a non-macro, and then we'll macroify it. If that's not a word, it will be soon. Store result as score, add S onto their shard count. We will run clear at S any item. We don't care. We don't care what the item is, as long as it has Minecraft custom data. Why are you not autofilling for me now? Have you decided not to autofill anymore? Okay. Custom data, tilde, that's not a tilde, tilde. If we just say equals, it has to only have that data, or the exact data we type. So we do a tilde. We don't care what other data has got, as long as it is a soul shard. And we'll say 0B. But we don't actually want to clear them. So we'll put a 0 at the end. So we're not going to clear anything. All we're going to do is count how many there are, and we're going to store that into shard count. Why have we done 0B? If we look at our give soul shard husk, we have soul shard 0B. But if we look at our spider, we have 1B. Now, if you remember, we are sending the mode to this, and the mode is it correlates to which mob, which we set in load. 0 is husk, 1 is spider. Okay, but let's just do it with 0. Let's just do it with 0B, so that's always going to look for the husk. Let's save that. Now we should be able to get a result. We can test there. So let's do a reload. Or did I save it? I did save it. Always check those. Those are the silly things that will catch you out every time. And make sure we reload as well. Okay, let's do it. Whack the sword. We didn't get any sort of message. But let's change which score we are viewing to set display, sidebar. Let's go to shard count. Okay, I'm getting a 0, which I would expect because I don't have any. So let's use our admin function to give ourselves a husk. Ah, I've got a 1. Okay, what if I use that function again? Now I've got a 2. Great. So we are counting how many of those soul shard husks we've got. That's a good start. Let's go back. Oh, and if they have no soul shards, then we need to exit. But let's macroify this, because it might not be 0. We need to use the mode again. So let's do $mode. And notice that all I've done is I replaced the 0. The B is still there. I've only replaced the 0. And we'll say you are using arguments that have been passed to you. Now we'll exit if the player has no soul shards. So we will do... Well, we could literally just do execute... If we could type, we could do execute if score at S shard count. Actually, let's do an unless. Unless would be better. Execute unless score shard count matches 1 or higher. Run, return, fail. And here, let's just stick in a say, I have a shard. Okay, let's do a test on that. So, we try to remove no shards. All that does is count the shards we have and store them. If it equals less than 1, we will fail. If it equals more than 1, we will say, I have a shard. So let's do a test on that. Let's do a reload. So I'm expecting it to say, I have a shard. I have a shard. Oh, and we have the cooldown. And did you notice it didn't work the first time? That's because we're in spider mode. So let's go to husk. And if I keep my finger on it, we've got that cooldown kicking in there. I have a shard, I have a shard. Okay, that's fine. What if I throw the shards away? Now, nothing is happening, which is exactly what we would expect, because we are just run, return, fail. Now, it's good to give feedback to the player, so let's tell them. Run, return, run. Tell raw. We start with something simple. A little bit of text. No shard. What? We haven't said who is going to tell raw. Add S. No shard. Okay, let's go back and test that. Reload. I don't have a shard. If I right click, no shard. Yep, no shard. Perfect. Let's make it a bit better though. Let's, instead of just saying no shard, let's actually tell them which shard they don't have. They might have forgotten which mode they're on. Okay, so let's make this into boink. Boink, we'll put square brackets on either side. And we'll say, I suppose just something like, not enough space. Then we'll have something else. And then we'll have another bit of text. Text. Not enough soul shards. And here we want to tell them what soul shards they don't have enough of. So we could just do text husk as hard-coded. And I don't know why I went there. We know we don't want to hard-code that, but not enough husk soul shards. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's working. Let's get some colours in this as well. Let's do color for not enough red. And for soul shards, we'll add a color there as well. And we'll say red. And husk, let's put that into a different color. Let's say color equals, I'm just going to go with gold. Save that. We'll do the reload. Not enough husk soul shards. That's what we like to see. Okay. But it might not be a husk. So let's change this from husk. And let's use data storage instead. Let me delete that properly. It always prefers if you delete. There we go. Delete that. We will open one of those and we'll do the same again. I don't want text. I want something from storage, please. What storage do I want? Well, I want to get it from here. So ID data. I want to get it from the storage ID data. Okay, storage is ID data, please. And the NBT I would like to get. The NBT is from mob names. And mob names is a list. Look at the square brackets. Okay, so mob names, open and close square brackets, we will say 0. Let's do a reload. Not enough husks also. Is it sold? Did I really type that? Oh my god. Well, it's exactly the same. First, we're going to change that spelling mistake because we said 0. So it's going to come into load. It's going to say, so you want something from storage ID data. Okay. You want the NBT mob names. No problem. You want 0. That's husk. We don't want 0. We want mode, which we passed earlier. So let's change that 0 to mode. Now we are using past data. We have to put the $sign. Let's save that. Let's go back. Let's do a reload. Not enough husk soul shards is exactly the same. But if I switch modes, not enough spider soul shards. Nice. Okay. Remove a soul shard. Okay. That's easy enough. We will so we just need to clear, I believe. Clear at S. My brain just failed for a moment there. Clear at S any item. We don't care. As long as it has Minecraft custom data tilde equals soul shard. Oh. 0B. So we'll clear a husk soul shard. We don't want to only clear husks, so we're going to get that mode again. And pop that over the 0, only the 0. And we'll say you are using that data. Save that. Okay. Let's go back. Let's do a reload. Let's do function. Let's give ourselves a soul shard husk. Are we in husk mode? We're in husk mode. So if I right click, shard count 1. It didn't remove it though, which is interesting. Not enough spider soul shards. Okay, so we check for spider soul shards and it knows. We check for husk and we get no message, but it's not clearing it. Now, can anyone spot why? And I would say it's probably something to do with the fact that I made a spelling mistake. We've called it souls shard. Oh, I don't know what that did then. Let's undo that. Soul shard. That's the name we called it. Spelling mistakes, certainly for me, always a problem. Okay, are we in husk mode? Yes, we are. Let's right click. It went. Nice. We used one up. What happens if we have more? Let's give 1, let's give 2, let's give 3. So I right click once. Uh-oh. They all went. That's not good. Okay, let's stick on the end of this command. Let's just clear one. Yeah, that's probably better, isn't it? Let's just clear one of them. Let's reload. Let's give ourselves a couple of those again. Now if I right click, I'm in husk mode. One went. Last one went. Okay, we're getting there. Now we need to run the ability function. Now you notice that we've been using that 0 for husks and 1 for spider. And here we've named our abilities 0 or 0 and 1. Okay. Function 0. That's pretty much it. We'll save that. We'll go to function 0 and just say husk mode enabled. Okay, but we're hard-coded. We're hard-coded to 0. But let's see if we actually get a result from that. Reload. Let's give ourselves one of those shards again. Let's right-click. Husk mode enabled. Nice. What if we had a spider shard? Let's try that. Spider shard. If I right-click, not enough husk soul shards. Because I'm in husk mode. Let's switch to spider mode. Sorry, that my chat was in the way there, wasn't it? Just out of excitement, I've saved a screenshot. Let's switch to spider mode. Husk mode enabled. Okay. Expected because we've put the 0. Let's switch that 0 to using the macro data. And now that's going to call number, well, whichever mode. So spider should be 1. Say, with great, good spelling there, with great power, blah, 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 blah. You know the saying. Let's reload that. Okay. I have nothing. No spider soul shards, no husk soul shards. Let's get ourselves a bit of both. Let's do husk. Let's do it again. Let's do spider. Let's do it again. Okay, I've got a bit of both. Let's put ourselves into spider mode. With great power comes great... You know that. And we lost one. Let's put ourselves into husk mode. Husk mode enabled. Husk mode enabled. Back to spider. With great power comes... Yep. Cool. So, these are the functions where you would put... where you want to add your crazy abilities or whatever you want to put in here, really. As I said, these are already this is already going to be a bit of a long episode, so I think we're probably near an hour already. So I'm not doing anything in here. We still have one more thing to do, though. I mean, this works, but we need to modify a loot table. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a break for 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and do that. Okay, I'm back. Lots of cuts in this episode. Hopefully it's not too annoying for you. You know, I just noticed, a bit of a waffle. There are people outside playing golf in a thunderstorm. Yes, they are standing in the middle of a green field holding a piece of metal into the sky. I sometimes wonder about this place. Okay, what we're going to do now is make the mobs drop the soul shards. So let's have a look at what we've got. We need to add, they drop a gust here, and it has to have all this information. Okay, well, I'm definitely going to use Misode for this. It's going to be so much easier. So let's pop over to Misode. And at the moment, we are... Actually, if I run this now, and have I emptied? Does this count as... Let's do a test. Do mobs drop nothing because I've got empty loot tables, or does it just ignore them because they are completely empty? So let's pop you down. Look, we've broken their loot tables. we've broken the loot table. Because we've put them into Minecraft loot table entities, Husk and Spider, and there's nothing in there. So it's coming in here and looking and going, okay, I won't drop anything. All right, let's pop over to Miss Ode. God bless you, Miss Ode. Very helpful. And let's go to loot table. Now, I've just used loot table. In fact, in popular generators, it's right at the top anyway, so let's go there. Well, let's get the preset for the husk, because we don't want to change what they normally drop. We want to add to it. So let's do husk. Oh my. Okay. There's a lot there. But that's all right. We don't really care about any of this because we don't want to change what's already there. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our own pool. There, we got our own now. And let's do rolls. Well, we want to roll on this once at least. And then we're going to need an entry. Our entry will be an item. We're going to drop an item. And I'm using a ghast here. Like I said, you might want to switch this to something like a poisonous potato. So it can't be used in any recipes. But I'm going to use a ghast here. Okay, that's all right. Should we just test with that? Let's just test with that and see what happens. So let's pop that into Husk and do a save. Okay, so nothing has changed. All of this is exactly the same. We've just added our own little pool here at the top. Ghast tier. And we've not put any settings or anything. Okay. So what will that do for us? Let's get that's a spider. Let's get a husk. Ah, okay, cool. He's dropping the ghast tier. So that's a good sign. Okay. Now he's dropping something at least. Did he drop his normal flesh and stuff as well? Yeah, he's still dropping his normal things. Okay, that's good. Okay, back to Misode. Ghast tier. We're going to have to add some stuff to this because we want it to match our ghast tier, which we did in the admin commands. So we need custom data, custom name, Minecraft lore. It looks like a spawn egg, and we gave it glint override. Now, to be fair, the only thing we need is the custom data, because that's the only thing that our commands are checking. And I think we're checking that in here. Here we go. Any item, doesn't care, so it doesn't have to be a ghast tier, because we've put a star. And we're not checking name, we're not checking lore, we are only checking the custom data. So that, it must have that. Okay, so we've got one entry. Let's add some functions. Let's do set count. How many is it going to drop? That's a function, isn't it? Set count. There it is. Let's make that count an object. And we'll say uniform. And we'll say it's going to drop between 0. Yeah, okay, that sounds all right. Or 1. Let's take time and waffle. Come on. Let's set that between 10 and 20. I automatically press Control S. Okay, so we've now added set count to 10 and 20. Let's copy that. Let's go back. Let's go to our loot table for Husk and replace the entire thing. We now have a set count. Okay, I wish there was a quicker way of doing that. There probably is. So let's save that. Okay, so we've added to the set count. So I'm expecting to get any amount of ghast tiers. So I'm expecting to roll on this pool. I'm going to roll one time. It's going to be a ghast tier, and I should get between 10 and 20. Let's do a reload. And we've only affected the husk, so let's do husk. Let's not punch you with a fist. Let's use the sword. Oh, you definitely got 19. That's between 10 and 20. Throw it away. I've only got that time. 18. Wait, okay, this seems good. We won't spend too much time. I know that's fine, so we won't spend too much time. Oh, let's go back. So we've set a count. Okay, let's put the count as 0 to 1. A bit more reasonable. Actually, no, for testing, let's put it between 1 and 2, so we always get at least 1. Now I need to add all that other stuff, so we need another function. So make sure we're still in our pool. We are. And we can check that because our pool has got this big green box. And you can see the green box ends here. Okay, we don't want to go beneath that green box because that's the original pools from the original loot table. So let's stay in our green box. Let's add a new function. Let's do functions. What should we add? Well, we need to set the enchantment glint. So that's going to be a component. Set components. What component? Please set the enchantment glint. Why am I saying please to Miss Ode? Not the person, the website. Enchantment glint, we'll set that to true. And we will set another component, the item model. Because I don't want it to look like a ghast ear or poisonous potato or whatever item you've used. So item model, yes please. And I will set that to a husk. Oh, straight away, spawn egg. Okay. Let's do the slow version. Let's copy that. Copy. We'll go back. Let's override our existing table. This is so long. I hate the loot table and the video. There we go. Whack you in there. Save that. Pop back. Reload. Pop you down. Slappy, slappy. Aha! We got two. And we got 2 ghast ears. We're going to have to change that name. But they are enchantment glint override, and they are with the custom model data of the actual spawn egg. Data. That's not how you spell data, Infernal. Data get entity ns selected item. Make sure you spell item without that capital T. Cool, that's definitely working. Okay, let's go. Let's add everything else. So we've set components. Let's add another function. Set name. Okay, set name's a good one. Set name. Entity will be this. Name will be, I suppose we want a string. Yep, let's go for a string. What do we want to put in here? Husk soul shard, I suppose. Husk soul shard. Or actually, let's not do a string. Let's get more options. Let's do text. That's better. We've got more choices. Okay. For our text, let's do husk soul shard. And let's go back and just check. Give soul shard husk. Text, yes. Husk soul shard, yeah. Oh, we need a color and we need italic false. Okay. So we need a color, which we did. Let's do an enum. And I think we picked green. I'm going to check. Oh no, we did dark green. Okay, well, it doesn't really matter. But dark green. And we had italic false. Okay, so that's the text done. We don't need to change anything else there. Let's add some lore as well. Another function. Set lore. The lore will be lore plus. Do we want a string? let's do some text. And we'll just say a small part of a husk soul. That seems alright. Oh, we need a mode. Yeah, it's not happy. We need a mode. And we'll just say replace all. Okay, so that should be the law done. But we need, very importantly, is the custom data. That's the most important thing. So let's go up and add another function. Function would be set custom data. Tag is going to be an object. We will say soul shard. Do we want an object? And we'll set it to a double. And what do we put in here? We got a number. Let's have a look at what it's. Soul shard 0. Soul shard 0. Do we want 0? Well, let's have a look at what we defined in load. And we did say that husk is 0 and spider is 1. So 0 sounds good. So let's do 0 in there. We still haven't set a name. Oh, we have set the name, and we set the law, and we set the custom data. Okay, that seems alright. Let's copy that. Let's take it back to our loot table. Loot tables get really confusing. They really do. Let's pop that in there. Let's save that. Let's go back. Let's do a reload. Let's pop you down. Let's clear out those two old ones. Oh, you did drop one. Okay, what have we got? Oh, you dropped two. Very nice. Husk soul shard, not in italic, and it's in dark green. A small part of a husk soul. That is good. Let's do a data get on that. And it says soul shard 0B. Now, does that count if I try to use... Let me do F3D. If I go into husk mode, hey, we can use it. Nice. Okay, so that's working. So, husks are now dropping souls. But, here's one thing. Let's get a load of husks. Kill any entity. Oh, you're noisy. Shush, 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 shush. Type equals husk. Now, I didn't kill it with my sword. And they still dropped their souls. Now, I don't want that. I want it, so I have to actually kill them with this sword. Or at least I have to kill them. Let's just do that. Let's just do it so I have to kill them. Okay, back to Misode. And we are in pools, and check the big green box for pools. And let's scroll down. We're staying inside the green box here. Ah, okay. And then we can see the dividing line. Right, I don't want to go past into the next green box because that's the next pool. I only want to affect what I've added. And I'm going to add a condition. And the condition is killed by player. And we'll say true. Okay, you must be killed by a player. And we'll copy that. We will go back. We will scroll all the way to the top and replace what we already have. And we will save that. And we'll go back and we will do a reload. Let's slap a load of these guys down. Let's do the old kill all of them. Wonderful. I didn't kill them. The command did. There are no souls anywhere to be seen. Perfect. Now let's spawn one and kill it ourselves. And he dropped a soul. Great. So we at least have to kill it. That's nice. Okay. Now we have to do the same for spider. Now it's a little bit easier if you've got one. So we can scroll to the top. And we can look here in pools. Pools has been opened. Here we are opening pools. And we can check this first line. This is our pool Where does it close? Ah, there we go. It closes here. So let's just copy all of that. In fact, actually, what we'll do is first we'll get the default spider. So let's go for presets. We'll go for the spider. And we will just copy it. We're literally just copying the default. We'll put that into spider. We will go paste. Now we'll go back to Husk. And we'll find our pool, which we put up the top. So let's copy our pool. And let's stay in line here with pools. And we'll go down until that closes. There it is. It's closed there. So that's my addition. And we'll copy that. And we'll take it to spider. We'll go to the top. And we'll pop our in there. Now, obviously, the spider is now going to drop a husk soul. We don't want that. So let's start at the top. And let's check our pool. Item, yes. Garstier, yes. Custom data, soul shard 0. That's the first thing we need to change. Husk is 0. Spider is 1. Soul shard 1. Set law. A small part of a husk. No. Spider soul. Set name. Husk soul shard. No. Spider. Soida. Enchantment can override. That's exactly the same. Oh, not a husk spawn egg. A spider spawn egg, please. We'll drop between 1 or 2. But now here, you can see that we could change. I mean, maybe husks drop a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 1,000,000. But spiders drop a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 2. You can change these numbers. We'll just save that. And I think we should be fine. Reload. We'll just pop a spider down. Hello, spider. Did you drop me a spider soul? You dropped me 2. That's okay. Let's get the sword going. We are in spider mode. I used 1. With great power comes. I used 2. Yep. What about if we switch to husk mode? And you'll see if I right click and keep my finger on every second, because of the cooldown, we are slowly ticking through the husk souls. There we go. Okay. Now that took a while. Sorry for all those interruptions. I don't know what's going on today. Very busy day. But we have a sword. If you kill something yourself. Now, we haven't actually defined that they must be killed with this sword. But if you kill something yourself, the mob is going to drop a soul shard. And you can save them all up. And then you can use this sword to use those soul shards. Each time you use one, you will activate an ability. Our abilities are stored in ability 0, which, remember, is sort of on this list here. 0 is husk, spider. And at the moment, we're just saying something. This is where you would go, oh, well, if you're a husk, then maybe you need extra toughness attribute. And if you're a spider, maybe you can levitate up walls or something. You can imagine that if we went on to that, it's going to take even longer. And I am sure I have probably wasted enough of your time. I had a bit of time today, and I thought this was a great one to do. So thank you very much, Bit7Shoopster. I thought this was a great idea. And I'm tempted to add this into my Dataland series because I think it's quite fun. It would be, I tell you what, it'd be cool to hear your suggestions of what each soul could do. What happens if I activate with a husk soul? What happens if I activate with a spider soul or a wither soul or an end dragon soul? What does the sword do? What ability does it give you? I don't know. I like this one because it's kind of open-ended. You can do whatever you like. Anyway, this has been a long time. I have wasted some. I'm terribly sorry. I tried to keep them short, and this one certainly wasn't. So have a great day. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Bit7 Shoopset, for the idea. I really enjoyed making this one. I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.